Hi, my name's Kelly. I've worked with the NDIA for 6 years in a number of roles in service delivery. Today I'll share some information with you about the role of the planner at the NDIA. A planner is a delegate who acts on behalf of the CEO to make plan funding decisions for participants. Those plan funds assist participants to get the supports that they need to contribute towards living and enjoying their life. Planners can work directly with participants to gather information and develop plans. They can also work with local area coordinators and early childhood partners who support our participants to gather important information so that a reasonable and necessary plan can be developed. The key skills of a planner are communication, bringing together information, and making thorough decisions. Planners need to simplify a lot of agency jargon, including legislation, to communicate plan outcomes to participants. This requires planners to know how to tailor their language to different audiences and to communicate sensitively, professionally, and clearly. Planners need to bring together a large amount of information about a participant to make decisions. This information can come directly from the participant and their family, their treating clinicians, or providers. Planners need to take into consideration all of this information and the supports that are available through mainstream services and the community when developing a plan for a participant. Planners are also required to understand how to interpret the legislation and ensure that it's followed when making a plan decision. There are a number of other resources such as operational guidelines and standard operating procedures which also need to be used. Building a plan starts with looking at any information that we might already have on our system that tells us what supports a participant has had over a period of time, what goals they have achieved or haven't achieved, and any recommendations that their clinicians might have put forward. With an initial view in mind, it's important to meet with the participant and hear from them or their carer or nominee to ensure that you have the whole picture, including where they might be receiving supports from mainstream services or the community. Once you've considered all of this information, building the plan is based around the supports that the participant need that are reasonable and necessary, which means that they meet the criteria of the legislation. The agency is responsible for providing funding that meets the reasonable and necessary criteria of the NDIS Act. There are a lot of other supports that are available to participants through health, education, and community organisations that are just as important to building inclusion as funded supports. It is important that planners ensure that participants are linked or can receive assistance to be linked with non-funded supports in the community, in addition to the funded supports in their plan. Sometimes a plan is approved that doesn't include the funding that the participant expected. If this is an error, which sometimes happens, it can be fixed quite quickly. If the funding isn't included because it doesn't meet the criteria in the legislation, this should be a part of the planning conversation with the participant. The participant then has an option of submitting a request for review to provide additional information if they don't believe the plan will meet their needs or if they experience a change of circumstances. When a participant requests a review of their plan, a new delegate will determine if there is additional information that allows the current plan to be reviewed. Sometimes the plan is modified, and other times it's determined that the current plan is suitable under the legislation. As planners, it's important to remember that participants are the experts in their own lives. Participants will come with a wealth of knowledge about themselves and also have treating professionals, providers, and other supports who know a lot about them and contribute towards them achieving their life goals. The job of a planner is to take all of the information provided and not scrutinise whether it's right or wrong, but to make decisions in line with the NDIS Act. The NDIS is a scheme that is reforming the way that disability-related supports are funded in Australia. It is fast-paced and often changing, so keeping up to date with the information on the intranet and through training modules is incredibly important. Team leaders and senior planners are available to help new planners navigate these changes as they occur, and remember, no question is too simple. There is a participant who would prefer for you to get the information right and their plan right, rather than guessing and having to change something after it's been approved.